Hello, and welcome to this week's Scrim School ScrimCast. I am your host, Bobby Sox. If you are new here, the way this works is we spend the first hour or so talking with the guest of the week, getting to know them, understanding the metas, the loadouts of choice for this season, ways to play, how to move, things like that. And then the second half, we jump into some scrims. And we run scrims with the guest of the week. We bring in viewers, and you guys get a chance to chat with the guests of the week. I'm pretty excited. Our guests this week are Mistreated and Vurya. This is going to be a good one. Let's get them undeafened and do some intros. Hello to you both.
Hi.
Yo.
Okay, so we're going to start it off. Why don't you both give an intro to the viewers in chat and that listen to this on the offline?
All right. Well, I'm Mistreated. I primarily do a lot of PvP, mostly trials. Started my stream because I didn't have anybody to play with, and quickly found out that a lot of other people didn't either. So it was pretty fantastic. Always done trials. Been branching out into more PvE stuff recently, and some other games. But it's been a delight, and along the way, I actually met Vurya, so it's been fantastic. And yeah, there we go.
I feel that. I think that's why a lot of people start streaming, honestly, is to make more friends. I got tired of talking to myself.
Fair enough.
All right, Vurya, what you got?
I'm Vurya. I'm a dude with a little too much free time. I used to scrim quite a bit. I quit on that, and now I just play a lot of trials. Like a little way too much. I think I'm a little high on the boards for flawlesses. Yeah, I stream, do all that, do help. Try to get to know as many people as I can, talk to as many people as I can.
I love that. Chat, there are the links. If you are not following these two, go show some love. They took the time out of their day to be here. Their evening, I guess, day. I don't know. This could be your morning. I'm not judging. Go show some love to them. So let's dive into the nitty gritty right out the gate, because trials. These last 2 weeks. How do we feel about it?
Bad. It's been terrible. And mostly I do think it's because of the player pop. It's
100% the player pop. The less people actually playing trials, the more strain you're going to be feeling with the problems of the actual system.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I definitely saw a picture on the tweeters that basically said that at one point trials dropped down below 600 total players, or 600 players in non-flawless, or one of the two.
I think I saw a tweet coming from Trials Report that said that within an hour, Flawless Pool had less than 500 players in it. And during that time, we were actually playing Flawless Pool. And we matched the exact same people over and over and over again. It was quite noticeable that there was hardly anybody playing. And it's mind-boggling that because I think at that time, actually, I think there was 1,500 people playing
yeah, there was.
altogether. So twice as many people were in the non-flawless playing than.
Yeah, at some point we'd actually get people get pulled from non-flaw, and we'd play a bunch of solos from non-flaw. Like it never been flawless before. People like they'd get pulled into our games because there's nobody playing in flawless pool.
Matchmaking got to the point where it was like 5 minutes long, maybe even a little longer than that. And yeah, we would consistently get non-flawless people matching us. And it's just really disheartening. And obviously, you know, there isn't a a brick wall where non-flawless can't match with flawless players. But if the population dips so low, we're going to be eventually playing with the non-flawless.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was watching that in your stream, Vurya, when it happened. That was Monday morning, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
It happens a lot more than I think it should. It happens at least a good handful a weekend where you just get those handful of games that are just purely solos, or even just a duo and a solo, and they get like a lower tier, never been flawless before, like at all. Maybe even their first time playing trials, they'll get pulled into our games, and it's like, I don't think that's how that's supposed to work, considering flawless was implemented for that one reason.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that it wasn't meant to be that way, but so let me spin it a little bit. Why do y'all think it was so low these last 2 weeks?
You want to go first?
Hard question, right?
Well, I think
I mean,
for one, the meta's
yeah,
I mean, it's
100%
terrible.
the meta.
Nobody wants to play against wall hacks, linears every game. And on top of that, it being the end of the season and the meta being the worst it could be, it just all piles into one, and it doesn't end well at all.
Yeah, I feel that. I do. I feel that immensely. What were y'all running as loadouts? What do you recommend to the viewers at home that made it possible to run in the flawless pool?
Oh man, I ran the wall hacks. I put it on myself. I put on the wall hacks. I was like, you literally,
yeah.
It's to the point where sometimes you just can't play without it, especially if it's 3 of them. You just have to start doing it yourself. At some point, I did just get off of Hunter and go to a Titan and play behind my barricades with a scout and try
Titans
my
are very
best to not
strong
get
with
picked.
that.
Yeah,
The
I mean, that map is
barricades,
built.
especially with Bannerfall being a long range map, it's very, very helpful for Titans. But I was just doing SMG Peacekeepers Titan.
There you go.
Yeah.
I have
sniping occasionally.
Yeah, I have found a new love for SMGs this season. Mostly because I can't use a hand cannon.
SMGs are strong.
They're so strong.
Well, nobody can use a hand cannon right now. I mean, they can try,
You
but
shoot
it's not
somebody
going
twice,
to be optimal.
get out forerunnered. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I mean, I at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm getting forerunnered in orbit. So
Yeah, I hear it in my dreams.
I do too.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, Forerunner's not bad." That's actually something that we will get into because obviously Forerunner is a very hot topic. That Bungie doesn't feel that way.
No.
Why do y'all think that is?
I think they want to keep the uniqueness about it, to be honest, because it is an exotic sidearm, and if it doesn't have its long-range capabilities with the little scope, then they're gonna lose out on it. I think somewhere along the line it mentioned that it was like acting like a 180 hand cannon. I'm not quite sure how valid that is, but it definitely has significant range. And it hurts when it hits you.
Yeah, we tested it.
I think there's way too much ammo for it, is what I think. I think that needs to decrease, like spawning ammo.
I agree with that. We tested it in some private matches, and we were hitting 54 meters without a damage fall off.
Oh,
58. Sorry, 58 meters. Let me get my numbers right. 58 meters.
it's even worse.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's nuts. So, I know this is a touchy one. How would you improve it to still let it have its shine without being such an outlier? Because I'm sure you thought about it.
I just don't want it usable. This is the problem
Nerf
with
it
me
into the
thinking about
ground.
Forerunner. Yeah. But I think definitely decreasing the ammo for sure. But there has to be some kind of damage fall off as well.
It does not need 58 meters. I don't think. I mean, what can a hand cannon get? Maybe max 30?
34 with range
34?
finder.
Yeah, if it's going to have 58, no. I think it should have around maybe mid 40s. Mid 40s would be okay, but to be able to maybe challenge a pulse rifle and actually win because it shoots so fast, I think that's a little bit of an issue, and that's something you can change.
Sin corrected me. It is 36 meters with adept pally.
Oh, okay.
And that's as far as 140s are concerned. That's the furthest range. That is a great question. Mark says, "Why is Forerunner all of a sudden in the spotlight? It's always been strong, but why is the usage so high now? What do y'all think?"
Oh, that's a good question.
I have my own thoughts on it, but I want to hear from the teacher.
I think it's hand cannon like. I think it's because it's hand cannon like, and you can basically play it off as a hand cannon, even though it's not. You could basically challenge any primary now, and since hand cannons feel so, like with all the special weapons, with linears and stuff, I think that might be the only thing to be able to kill fast enough to where the dude might not be able to linear you. And somebody else that's trying to challenge you with a primary, they're not going to outgun you because Forerunner just shoots that much faster.
That's true. And as far as like all of the matches going, they're playing very long range mostly. So like having something that is very similar to a hand cannon that is doing massive damage and range, people are going to be more inclined to pick it up.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Plus, it's so insane. It's so insane.
It is.
Even as an ex-Halo pro, I just am stunned at how they did with it. And I get it. I like it from the novelty of it. But holy, for some reason, this season, it feels potent.
Ooh, also because of the guns you can pair with it. Normal, like just sidearms in general, since they got a buff, Drang, literally, it has hand cannon range. It basically feels like it. You're going to probably outgun a hand cannon from its own range if you just use Drang. And you actually have a little bit better in air, I think, with Drang, or at least it feels like it. Just sidearms in general, they're really strong. Yeah. You could just run double sidearm targeting, double sidearm unflinching, not have to worry about your special weapons.
You could put on sneak attack.
Just play invis, and then by the second the people see you, you're dead. Like, they're dead.
Yeah.
You already 3-tapped them.
I really hope that... I mean, Bungie's got to see the numbers, right? I really, really hope that at some point, something in there, they go, in next TWABs before Season 19, they go, yeah, we know this is a little potent. You know?
I actually am wondering to see how they would tune it. Because I'm sure they do want to keep it strong. Like, just not as bad as it is if they do change it.
Do you think that that would decrease, like, the damage on it, actually?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't think they would do anything with aim assist or anything with that, but maybe damage, maybe take off a little bit of damage.
Yeah, I could see that.
If the fall-off was more, it would make sense. But you're probably going to 3-tap anyways, no matter what.
So I saw a suggestion on the Bird app that said, what if Forerunner only got 6 in the mag instead of 8? So you have, and when you pick up, you only get enough to get one more kill out of it instead of what's happening with it now.
That is valid. It puts you in a position where you can't miss. If you want the fast kill, you gotta hit your headshots, and you better hope the other person drops special and you can get to it if you want a guaranteed next kill if you do miss. Which I do think that wouldn't be a bad change.
I got distracted watching you get a triple with that shotgun in the air. You're cheating. You hit not 1, not 2, but 3 in-air headshots. Absolutely cheating.
What was he using?
I think it was my Without Remorse.
I was about to say, that looks like a Without Remorse. Is what it looks like.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This thing is such hit or miss. It's like... sometimes it'll one-shot. Some other times, it literally won't even break their shields.
Chippy says that that's what it was before. Last season was 6 in the mag, 3 from pickup.
Oh, that might be why you see it more this season, actually.
Yeah, that might explain why,
forgiving.
because the ammo increased, and I think the ammo is the biggest issue. So
you only get one shotgun shot. You only get one kill worth of Forerunner, but you still get that extra bullet. So with a shotgun or a sniper, once you miss that one shot, you're done. You could still miss a shot with that Forerunner.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a couple shots. And all you have to do is touch a brick, and guess what? You have another team wipe.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. It's an interesting one. That I'm really hoping they mention something about. I'm gonna be concerned if they don't. And speaking of interesting weapons, let's talk linears. Linears. How do we feel about them now? Have you guys tried them since the
I haven't.
quote unquote
I have not played it all.
Unfortunately, I haven't
I've seen clips.
tried them. I have seen clips, yes, and discussion about it, but I haven't had an opportunity to try them out or get tried on.
Which, before the nerf, I did say that I don't think it was going to do much, because every time they do nerf aim assist cones, it doesn't actually feel like it does anything. I remember, I think it was the first nerf they tried with snipers. It was the aim assist cone. Nothing changed. Like,
Well, that was
you
the
were
same
still
with the
getting
linear
sniped
when
through
they
everything.
did it too.
Yeah.
You were
yeah.
still
And then
getting
they
shot
just
when you were
wanted to do
behind
the aim
cover.
assist cone again, and then they capped the flinch, so your gun can't go any higher, which is bad. So now, if you just aim low enough and get flinched, you can hit them no matter what. That just all didn't sound like a good idea.
That doesn't sound like a good idea. I don't know. I've seen toss-ups. I haven't gotten a chance to try them yet. I hate to admit it, but I have been a Arbalist enjoyer quite a bit this season.
I think 99% of people.
Well, I have been too. Yeah. Right once I put on wall hacks, it's just. I think the past couple weeks it's been in my top 3, and it's like, okay, both of them actually combined, like the same top 3 every week.
Consistently.
I feel that. I do. I tried trials out, and started running the. I didn't even play it this weekend, honestly. I looked at the numbers because I play at 4 o'clock in the morning, and when I saw there was 1,100 players total, I said I'm good.
Just stay in bed.
I'm good. No, I got on. I ran quick play, hung out with the troops, and we just had some fun making jokes and talking about food.
Okay.
And I gotta say, my mental was peak. It was a whole different level. But I have been enjoying Arbalist a lot. I was on the Destiny Massive Breakdowns last week, or the week before, and that was a very hot topic of what we felt should be changed. I was really hoping you guys had tested it so we could see if
I was hoping to too as well. Unfortunately, it would only have to be something I don't think quick play would be a good way to test it. It would have to be in a comp setting, like a 3v3, to really kind of feel its change difference. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that they were a huge issue all this season and in general before they even got nerfed. So if the nerfs did make a significant difference, then we're going to be seeing it. The Twitter talk about the linears was really, really strong. But I feel like a lot of people will jump onto it in trying to make a point that Bungie is wrong, even if they aren't technically in gameplay. Now, whether or not, all of that is valid, it could be 100%, but I would have to experience it first to really know whether or not the nerfs actually did anything significant. And significant meaning people are going to be using it less and making it seem like it's a viable option all the time, because there's people that are just jumping onto the linears now because that's the only way to combat them.
Right.
And right now there should be other things that should be able to combat them.
Definitely.
I think the best playing field for him is trials, just for guns in general. Like the best way to tell if something's good or not is if it works in trials. So like if we go into this weekend and it's going to be a close range map if it's one of the moon maps, and the linears are still there, I think that's saying something. I mean, it's just the moon maps are shotgun heavy, and if somehow, some way, the linears do beat the shotguns on like usage, then that's got to be a sign that there's nothing, like almost nothing changed.
And trials is definitely a good area to know exactly if things have made an impact and changes, because people want to win. They might enter a comp, right, and not, have that same drive that they want to win, like in trials, because they don't want to break their card. So you see a lot more teams actually attempting that win than you would in another setting like quick play or comp.
I do.
So they're going to use what is going to get them the win. So if those linears are still the best option for them to win, we're going to see it. And we're going to feel whether or not we can contest them or not. Because right now, contesting them is very, very... Or not right now, but last weekend, they were very difficult to contest.
Yes, they were. I've said for a while, much to the chagrin of Twitter, that Bungie's best marker for metas is to look at trials. Because that is where people, like just like you said, that's where people are going to use whatever they can to win.
Yes.
So I absolutely agree with that. I guess we're going to have to see how it plays. If you haven't voted yet, make sure to vote Anomaly. Not that I'm,
I think voting has closed.
That's what we voted.
But we did vote Anomaly.
Good.
Is it something I wanted to vote on? No, but it is a map we haven't had in over a year. So that is the one I voted for.
I enjoy Anomaly more than the other two.
Cauldron is actually one of my favorite maps. So I would have voted for that if Anomaly wasn't on there.
Why is Cauldron?
I really like that one as well.
I can't stand that map.
I just think it's fun, and I also think that a lot of people do not know how to handle doors.
That's why I hate that map.
And it's so funny. The only problem that I would have with Cauldron currently is this meta. Titan's Rain and those Titan grenades would definitely just flood that middle area. So it would be tough, but it would be fun to experience.
Yeah, the way I see Cauldron, it's a C tier map. If the doors stayed open, I could put it in the S tier slot.
You know what's also funny is Burnout is one of my other favorite maps. So I definitely like things that rotate.
I love Burnout. I think Burnout's great. Yeah,
until we get to Anomaly.
The fact that you can open a door and not know what's on the other end, even though you might open it and get sniped instantly. I still like that. It'll annoy me. I'll 100% get annoyed if I get sniped right as the door opens. But it's just the fact that there's some sort of like thought process you have to have. You have to be ready for whatever once the door opens. There could be a dude crouching around the corner with a chaperone, some dude getting ready to jump, and then, well, he might not kill you actually because he jumped. But
yeah,
just everything that goes in with the doors.
The map changing, whether it's you're anticipating the change or you're not anticipating the change, makes a huge difference on how like people and the teams will play. I like the changes that the map does to people, trying to strategize. It's interesting to see what people do.
I think the biggest issue with me in Cauldron is the necessity of holding mid control on that map, especially depending on what side you spawn on. You have an easier chance to take mid control. Because obviously, like in any scrim setting, in any competitive setting, mid control is what you want. But it's very favored on one side. I think that's my biggest issue with it. Because then you're at a disadvantage trying to push through the doors to take mid control.
I think you can go equal time to the doors, but there's definitely one side that is a little bit more open that
think the red
has
spawn
that. Yeah,
has a better time once you run into the doors.
Exactly, it does. You can run through the doors and get on bridge before left side spawn can make it to the doors.
Mm-hmm.
If you're moving.
It's just that mid control. It used to be a very heavy like run-in shotgun map. And then you had the very strange teams that would take the outside and try to snipe you out, or just wait out the rounds. But yeah, it is a very, I guess,
I'm
one
trying to make
strategy
you not
minded.
like it if you haven't noticed.
I love it. So.
All right. Well, speaking on the maps this week, and we know all three of them. How do you both plan on playing for each respective map? Do you gonna have a different play style, different movement style? I mean, you guys do help every single weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You do help in the flawless pool.
Mm-hmm.
How do you plan to do the most effective help for each map? Let's start with. I mean, we kind of covered Cauldron, but we can finish it off if you want.
Oh, with Cauldron? So with any of our strategies, we don't really go in with anything. We see how we are going to play with how the teams are going to play. And we base off of what we do based off of what they do. So each game is going to be very, very different from what we do. Overall, though, we do have a, I guess, kind of simple way of playing, and that's just knowing each other's play styles.
Sure.
When it just boils down to it. Unless he has something to add.
That is basically how we play. So I tend to move out and like play a little flanky and try to get in behind, while her and the person who we're helping just stick together. So I kind of know where they are, and then I'll push, say it's Cauldron, and we get the right spawn. So I'll move out to look at the other spawn directly. If there's a sniper there, I move back into middle, because that's where I assume that they'd be. They'll play the doors. If it's slow, if it ends up playing a little slower and they're not really pushing in, they're playing the door really well, I'll end up going into their spawn and get on those stairs, and then try my best to get a pick. While they're like kind of messing with the door and having them maybe look at them. They don't have to look at them for me to try for a pick. Sometimes I'll get picked in the process. But if I do take one, I'll instantly run away. I'll get out, they'll push back in. If I'm weak, then I'll regen, or I'll go towards like right behind them instead of going the original way I was going, because they're gonna think I'm still there. But I'm not. I'm just going to pop out from right behind them. They're going to be like, oh, okay. This dude's here already. And then, so that's how we'd probably play that side. The other one, I like just running into the middle.
I would think for Cauldron, definitely want that mid control, like right off the gate. And it is much harder to get if you're left. And depending on how the team plays or how our third plays, because some can be a little bit more hesitant, others can be really balls deep in it. Depending on how they play, we might take control kind of by that little lantern thing. I don't know what that is. Rather than trying to push inside from mid control. And then from there, moths? It would just trying to... Wait, what?
Are you talking about moths? Like the moth room?
I don't know, it's that... No,
it's
not
the opposite of middle. The opposite side of middle, but on the...
Where A would be?
Yeah.
Yeah, that area.
Say, yeah, that's moths. That's moths room.
Okay.
If you look around, there's
what
moths
is
that
the
are
little
flying.
pool? Isn't there like moths in that? In the little pool room?
Where A is? Hold on, I'm...
No, in between A and C.
Ah, okay. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we bounce back between those two rooms for a pick.
For a pick, yeah. Opening up those doors, closing them if we need to. But we really want to try to get
we try
doors
our best
open
to
by
not push
hours.
unless there's a pick.
Unless
there's no pick, then you cannot like You can still do it, but you want to leave that for last second if you're just gonna run in. You want to try your best for a pick from one of the doors, and the doors, since people don't like them, you're an example. You don't like them. People will get like desperate, and they'll just try to run through the door sometimes. And it's like, okay, well, we'll just take advantage of that. Their orb is on our side, so now we can do whatever we want because there's only 2 more.
It's a good strat. I like that.
And for point, you're gonna want your grenades and barricades.
Yes. That's the Destiny way. Barricades and nades. All the abilities.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's roll it to the next one. Let's go. We'll save my favorite for last. Let's go Pacifica next. If it's Pacifica, how do you plan on playing it? What loadouts do you plan on using?
Ooh, we hate that map.
We do hate that map. It's not a kind map to us. Not that we don't perform well, but it is notoriously a bad weekend.
We've actually quit the game for a good while. Both times, or the last 2
times.
Pacificas.
Yeah.
Like we've just
two
stopped
Pacificas.
playing. Maybe like done 1 card a weekend, but nothing more than that. That's
like
how
my
bad
entire
the map
season.
is for us.
Yeah, that sounds like my whole season. I got tired of linears.
I think we primarily like to play inside, but we will play outside if it has to be. And that is exactly where point is. It's outside. It's just, if it's outside, it's a little bit slower, I feel the gameplays are going to be, and a lot of more people play inside. And as far as that goes, it's just playing a pick, trying to get in with either a shotgun or a snipe.
Usually you do want at least one person hugging the left once you get into the inside, no matter which spawn you get. So, well, actually, so you know the spawn where you spawn like kind of on a helipad?
Yep.
You want like 2 people on the bottom right, like under, and then 1 person up top on the stairs. And then you guys can kind of, so if somebody's shooting, somebody comes out from the doors in front of you, the 2 people on the right can see that person if the one on the left has to move out. So that it just ends up with a free pick if somebody ends up moving out.
And you always have to be careful with the snipers because they will check. They're in the inside area. There's kind of like a little, I don't want to say the bridge part, but there is kind of like a little something that you can go under, and there's like little boxes there too. There's always 99% of the time going to be a sniper that either shoots you there or you get shot from that place. Like
Absolutely.
if you're there.
It's a
So
tough
that's
map.
always something. Yeah, it is.
It's a really tough map, and it really highlights the slower play styles that I think we've been experiencing lately. Especially highlights the slower play styles we've been experiencing. So, finally, jeez, hold on, let me fix my English for a second. Finally, Anomaly.
Anomaly. So I have bad memories of Anomaly. I think it's going to be pretty heavy on Antaeus Titans because I think the last time it was Anomaly, that was pretty prevalent, and as Titans are gaining popularity right now, you're seeing a lot more Antaeus Titans, and I think they're going to shine on that. But I also think that it's going to help the Invis Hunters too to come in with slugs.
Mm-hmm.
I do expect a lot of chaperones. Which is probably what I'll be running, and depending if I play Antaeus Titan or Invis Hunter, which it will be one of those 2.
How
I
do
feel
you
like
feel about
people can
Juggernaut?
snipe. Oh, okay. I don't really
That
mind
one-
it all too much. It seems quite hard to deal with at times when it's comboed with Antaeus.
Mm-hmm. I mean, especially on that map. That's kind of where I was going with it. Is do you think that Juggernaut and Antaeus might see an uptick if it's on Anomaly?
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
people just straight up, because every like little box, that whole like map has little box areas, that have like walls you could just run into, which I expect people to run into them to like build up their Antaeus to just run out and be able to slide and deflect and easy kill. That's what I expect a lot, is just people running into walls to build up their Antaeus.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's a closed off small map, so it's gonna be overwhelming. Especially with a lot of the abilities right now with the grenades.
I mean, I honestly think that, and this is my opinion, I think that Cauldron's going to be worse with the grenades than any other one. Just because...
Definitely just because of everybody is concentrated and trying to keep that mid control.
Yeah. So, Anomaly, how would you play it while you guys are doing here helps so that you can help the students? I don't know, maybe do some helps of their own.
I think the best strategy would probably be that, you have 2 people trying to distract from far distance and 1 push up. I think that is going to be the strategy used on Anomaly.
I think it depends on what character you're playing. Warlocks, those are like kind of left out of everything right now. Unless you're an Ophidian lock, you can get away with it. But Titans, being able to play your barricade and see, because there is a good sniper lane from both spawns that you can get to, which people do usually peek. It's right on B, right across, not like towards heavy, but the 2 little rooms next to B.
On staircase.
So being able to look around with a barricade, just even if it's just 1 Titan on the team, just having a barricade there would be really helpful. Maybe see if you can throw a grenade. If you're on Hunter, I'd play Invis. Play Invis. Instead of peeking the B room, I'd go farther out on either spawn that you're going to just play the dead center of the map and play under.
Okay, that's a good suggestion too. So Chippy's kind of thought my thought process on this one. You said Warlocks are kind of left out. I don't know if you have tried the Arc Melee with Dead Messenger.
Melee, yeah.
Especially with Dead Messenger on that map.
I think the Arc Melee in general is very strong as it is, especially with some like a map like this. But comboing it with the Dead Messenger would be really, really strong. Dead Messenger would probably be really strong on this map regardless, though, even without it.
How do you plan on... I mean, we're obviously going to see it a lot with the linear changes, because if you know anything about the Destiny community, they hear nerf, they never touch it again for months.
Yeah, so, it's actually funny.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm expecting a pretty big uptick on Dead Messenger on Forerunner. How do you both plan on combating something like that?
Patience for me.
Yeah, you have to just try and figure out where they are. So with me, I'd probably just play the best I can with Invis, or just try to jump as much as I can without just being a death sentence once you jump. So there's a lot of places where you could just bonk away on a Hunter, because if you play heavy side, you could just bonk straight across. Because with the Warlocks, as long as you jump for a good amount of time, you'll dodge the Dead Messenger. Even though jumping is not necessarily what you want to do, but if you play under and get behind them, well enough, sneakily enough, which on Anomaly you can't really tell if somebody's above or under. If somebody's like right, so say you're on B, you can't tell if there's going to be somebody in the little room or they're under right away. You can't tell right away. So you kind of have to mess around and find out, and you kind of just got to catch them off guard. If not, you're forced to play outside. Like in one of the spawns, you're just forced to play there and hope that they push out to you and do their little melee. They can't do anything for a good amount of time, and then you just catch them right after that. Now, if it's 3 of them, that might be That might be more interesting. I'd probably use not a slug. I'd use a pellet, even though those aren't great. But I do think pellets can still beat that.
Okay, I like that. I love the confidence. The confidence is great. Because if I see a triple dead messenger team, the only thing that I've found to beat it is the cheat code of Alt F4.
Okay.
Yeah, so even with some linear teams, I just put on a hand cannon and a pellet. It just somehow works better. Like, I don't know.
You
if
just
it's,
gotta try
like,
to
something
find a
in
way
your
to
brain,
beat it out.
something in my brain that
And
just
survive.
like, okay, I have to play a certain way. If I have to get this kill, if I don't get this kill, then I sell. Like, I just sold. So usually, if I'm on Arc Hunter and not on Void, try your best to do however much damage from, like, as far as you can with your shotgun, and then uppercut. And that's almost always a guaranteed kill, unless your shotgun does absolutely nothing. Which usually it does at least break that threshold, which is a little bit under 100 damage, I think. You don't have to break shields for the arc melee to kill.
I definitely think that you should not be traveling with your teammates on this particular map, though. Definitely trying to get different angles than them. Because there's going to be so many things that will attack all of you. Whether it be the Warlock melee, Dead Messenger, grenades, and it could be really damaging.
Absolutely agree with that. I'm curious to see how it plays out. If my math's right, it is the second to last trials of the season, because the week after we have Iron Banner, and then the week after that is our last week of the season. So I think we only have 2 left, honestly.
This weekend and then 2 more weekends.
2 more?
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were.
Because there's going to be this weekend, Iron Banner, and then 2 more weekends. Unless they cancel trials for one of those weekends, which I don't see them doing.
That's true. I don't see them doing that either. All right, we touched a ton on trials. Let's dive into the personal of how do you both stay so cool and calm and collected while you're doing help?
Him. Mostly.
Man, what the fuck? I was gonna say you.
When you have like a partner that helps you with these things, especially in like these settings where it can be really high stressed, you need someone to be able to rely on that will pick up when you are down, and he provides that. And it's much easier to either snap out of it or to continue without the frustration. We can also vocalize it, that, you know, we're kind of having a difficulty. And usually he will create an environment where all of that disappears, whether it's, you know, him talking about a random fact or going solely into being very vocal about his call-outs, to keep us focused on the game and, you know, the goal. So usually those strategies usually works. It helps that, you know, I'm able to do this with such a great friend. So like it's I think that's one of the main things that a lot of other people struggle, is that, you know, your whole point into trying to play trials, at least for me, and probably a lot of other people, is to enjoy the company you're with. And sometimes that can lose sight when you're losing or when you're not playing well. And if you can find someone that can refocus you onto what your main point is, it really helps.
That's probably the coolest answer I think I've ever gotten. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. A lot of people, like, a lot of the answers that I get from the standard trials players are like, that's the secret. I'm always angry, or something like, I just play.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I love that. It's so true. If you're playing with people that you enjoy playing with, the game's so easy. It's so fun.
Yeah. It makes a difference, a huge difference. And that's what we try to provide with our thirds too, because it can be stressful for them as well. And we try to make it at least enjoyable for them, and let them know that it's okay to feel those things, but it's also okay to have fun while, we either lose or while, we're not doing well or something. And it also helps, when we have chat there too when we're streaming. They're 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 usually quite helpful. And
if there's ever a point where you do get frustrated, which, I mean, it's Destiny. It's kind of hard not to get frustrated sometimes. Like, say from a loss, like, it's just, you just gotta make sure you remember it's like, okay, the game's over. Just, like, move on. We're fine. Just keep going. You can't get stuck on a game that, say, you did bad. Say I randomly do really bad in a game, and it's like, I'm gonna be mad at myself because it's like, okay, I just lost us that game. It's like, okay, just gotta we're already on to the next game. It's like, just focus on this one, forget about it. It's okay to get, like, frustrated at random stuff because the game's random itself. The game itself, it's random.
Absolutely.
And we don't get mad at each other. You can't get mad at each other for something.
No, you can't. No.
Yeah, I mean, that,
especially since the person probably already knows what they're doing wrong. There's no point on, making them either feel worse about it or bringing it up. It's just, you're experienced in trials. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. I love that, actually. That's basically what you're both saying is enjoy the people you're playing with above and beyond the game.
Yes.
And you'll have a better time.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that. I do. Because I play for fun. I used to do carries, I used to do help. I felt myself slipping, and I was getting mad more often than not, so I just said, it's Destiny. It's not competitive. I'm not playing for money. Let's have fun with it. So it really resonates with me that you guys said that.
I think a lot of people that do the exact same things that we do tend to have a sense of, like, burnout on it, or just overall frustrations because they view it more as a job.
So real. Is that what I'm looking at? Hold on.
Sorry, my 4-year-old had to tell me that she was looking for her stuffed animal.
Oh. Did she find it?
She said, if we find it, I'm going to come and tell you. And I said, please don't.
Looking for the report.
Yeah. Send me the Cliff Notes. I'll be all right. Go ahead. Sorry I interrupted that. She was pounding on the door, so.
Yeah, you're all good. I think, like I was saying, like, people that do exactly what we do, they tend to have a sense of, like, burnout on it, and I think it has a lot to do with how they're viewing it sometimes. Not everyone obviously views it this way, but I know a lot of them do view it more like a job, and that can create a sense of stress that just cannot be relieved. And they end up stopping or moving on to something else, which is great, got to take care of yourself, but you got to enjoy, that who you're playing with. It makes a huge difference.
I agree with that.
And you have to be on the same page with them.
Yeah, I agree with that. And speaking on the topic of carries and carry culture, obviously you both do it. How do you feel about it, though?
I have very strong opinions about it.
Good. Share. That's what we're here for.
I don't like the optics of carry culture. I specifically do not call anybody that I play with a carry because I don't view them as a carry. They might be less experienced than I am, but the whole purpose of trials is trying to go to the lighthouse together as a fire team. So they are participating, and they might be less experienced than you, but that's okay. The same with like the stacked mentality. There might be I consider myself a little bit above average player, but a lot of people don't view me that way. Statistically, I'm not a 2.0. So there's a huge idea about what is considered stacked and what's not stacked. A lot of people who don't view me as a stack still consider me as a stack, and it doesn't make much sense in the way that they view this because of the way that they view carries. A lot of people also take a lot of criticism towards us, saying that Vurya, all he does is double carries every weekend, which also then doesn't make any sense because then most of the time they're losing. But yeah, I don't like the terminology of carry, because I think everybody is very well capable of going to the lighthouse. And the biggest issue that is against them is matchmaking. And if they can get through a good matchmaking setup for their card, they're able to go. Right now, with our population dipping, matchmaking is so much more difficult to have actually on your side throughout the card.
Yeah, I agree.
That is true, yeah.
Vurya, how do you feel about the term carry and carry culture?
So with that, some people are not as good as others, of course, but I do also keep that same opinion. It's like, don't really need to shove it in their face that, because if they're trying to improve and that's all they're being like fed is, okay, you're a carry, blah blah blah. Even if they did improve, say you're like a 0.4 that just is making their way up to a 1 dot, and you're just being constantly told you're a carry, you're just not gonna wanna, like, you're not gonna feel like you're improving at all. So like, how is that gonna help build? We've had people come in and watch that the first time they play with us, they actually are a 0.4. And now dude's playing like a 1.7 2 dot almost every weekend.
That's actually another good thing that he said that, because it sparked something that we actually talked about recently, is that there's some aspects that statistically they might be, like he said, a 0.4, and we have played with a lot of 0.4 players, but overall team chemistry, they perform way better than someone who is our third as a 2.0 or higher than that, because of the way that they play with us. Usually 2.0s might eventually have that feeling of soloness, and they tend to do things outside of that team chemistry, and we end up losing more with them than we would with a 0.4, because some might prioritize revives, prioritize sticking together, prioritize team shooting, whereas the 2.0s might prioritize trying to get that kill on their own, going away from the team, not getting revives, and that can be a detriment in a trials game setting.
Yeah, no, I playing with your team is huge. That's one of those things that I think people are catching. That's especially as I don't want to say lower tier player, but as someone that's learning, moving with your team is massive, and I for one can say that I appreciate you guys taking the time to teach and explain and stay calm and collected. I've watched you both and how you carry yourselves in stream, and it's admirable. It really is. So
I think Bungie also implementing the title with trials, the flawless title, and having a requirement, doing a carry type thing, is also feeding into that narrative that you're either a carry or you're a stack. There's no in between at all, and I don't think that it helps the environment in general for trials players, I understand their their goal, trying to help other guardians get to where they want. Don't just stick with with who you're comfortable with, branch out, play with other players type things, especially those that are less experienced. So overall, I see the positive that would come out of it. I just don't think it was implemented well, just as much as I think, with the whole non-flawless flawless pool too. I think the idea behind it was great, but it's not implemented well at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we could obviously talk about flawless pool, but I think we know where we stand with that one. I had one and I just lost it.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Screw it. Let's talk about the flawless pool. We know it's not going anywhere. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, not going anywhere.
We know it's not going anywhere. So
I'm still fighting it though.
Oh, same. But if you could walk into Bungie tomorrow and give a suggestion to make the flawless pool... Oh, I remember my question. We'll come back to that one. Accessibility in trials. Do you feel trials should be more accessible or more rewarding? And why?
Accessible as far as like obtaining Lighthouse, or
that seems like it's kind of the goal right now with, and this is what made me remember it, was the flawless pool with making it freelance more often, things like that.
I think it should be more rewarding than accessible. I think at some point, like, you should get more rewards throughout the card. You get what? 1 reward a week for playing a good amount of trials, maybe a card worth, I think, like a weekly reward. I definitely think that should be more. Because the average player, say they don't get an adept. Some people would be fine just being able to get a good amount of normal loot if they were just handed more of it. If, say, some brand new player were to go play trials for the first time, and they play it for a good bit, all they're gonna get is 1 weekly reward and maybe like 2 rank up rewards, and that's if they're winning every game, because you don't gain a lot of XP. I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's enough for people to want to chase, since everybody just wants to get to Lighthouse because that's the only real form of loot. And then after you get the adepts, it just becomes stale. It's like, once I have it, well, what is there more to go for? I don't have to play trials any other week because I already have the 5 out of 5.
Okay. Mistreated, what do you got?
I think trials needs to have a way where it is replayable. Currently, it is nice for people to be able to go to Lighthouse on their own with the non-flawless pool, but they're not going to play again. And I think that's one of the major issues with it. So I don't mind it being accessible that way, as far as getting Lighthouse may be easier for some people, but I think they need to work for it. So as far as like the 7 win, I think people would be able to get that consistently, would be rewarded with Lighthouse. I think those that have a more troubled time with that should be able to get Lighthouse, but it's going to take them much longer, maybe weeks worth of, whether it's a reputation grind or some kind of quest line that goes with it, something, if they're just continuously playing the game. And the only issue that I would have with that is that I don't want people to be going back to where it was, where people were just jumping off to get that. So that would be the only issue with that sort of thing. I think people should get rewarded for the time that they put into trials, but it needs to be actual worthy time, rather than just, jumping off the cliff.
Let me just
how
say,
they do that. No clue how they would do that.
Bring back the hockey lotto.
Imagine.
Oh my.
I think you can like somehow make it to where they can make a card. Say you need, even if it's double what you need right now, 14 wins. Doesn't have to be in a row. You can lose as many times as you can. Like you could literally lose 50 times in the time that it gets you to get 14 wins. But as long as you get 14 wins and don't get a different card, you could turn that in for an adept. Like that might make people actually load up and just stick to it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like that. That's a suggestion I haven't heard yet. Because I've heard a lot of everyone's seen Lonzo's tweet about there should be a card that gives you loot on 7 wins. No, regardless, it gives you a trip to the lighthouse. I think
it shouldn't be 7.
I'm of the type that I don't think you should go to the lighthouse without a flawless. But
that's fair.
Big but. I do think that adept weapons should be more accessible. In my opinion.
I can agree. Yeah.
So to me, Trials is the lighthouse. Adept weapons are not that strong compared to crafted weapons anymore. Not like they used to be anyway. Mm-hmm. And as crafting gets bigger and bigger, adept is going to be less and less necessary.
And we want those people to be able to farm those. So if they were able to get that card, they would be, they get an adept, but it's not the role that they want. They still can be able to farm it. Right now, the way to farm it is only during the flawless pool and if you get wins after flawless. Right now, when flawless pool activates, the 7 wins are the easiest games. And it's a little disheartening because there's a lot of people. We have also used the strategy of holding a 7-win card, but it's not something we do now. It is astronomically way easier and to hold that 7-win.
Interesting. Okay. Huh. That's one that I haven't heard yet. And now we can roll into the flawless pool conversation of how would you improve the flawless pool to make it honestly more playable if you had the option?
Flawless pool just needs people playing in it to make it playable.
Yeah. But how?
As far as the system, to get people in it to play it. Well, the issue is that when Flawless Pool was implemented, when we had way bigger population, when it was first implemented, yes, a lot of people complained about it, but it was bearable. And I did say that constantly. It was bearable. It was something that I was willing to play with through, because before the revamp, we had hardly anybody playing in Trials, and that was unbearable. We needed the revamp. So when Flawless Pool came out, it was harder, but it was bearable. And as population continuously dipped to the the pre-revamp, you feel that strain again, and now it's completely unbearable. It's not really something that is playable right now. And the only thing that would fill in to making Flawless Pool bearable is to get actual people in there playing it. But I'm actually against splitting up the population, so I wouldn't ever I would just get rid of the system. I would also get rid of freelance. I know a lot of people like freelance. I don't.
Or at least you can't keep both. At least you can't keep both.
I would happily trade Flawless Pool for freelance. I have fun on freelance weekends. I don't queue up with teams. I just jump in, run around with a Light for the Lost, and see where it takes me.
And in my opinion, I think that would be great for a comp setting. But in trials, it's supposed to be supposed to be the 3v3, it's supposed to be team oriented. When they implemented matchmaking, so duos can queue and solos can queue, that solved the issue with the solo players. But the solo players complained that they're going against 3 stacks, which should encourage them to find fire teams. And this is supposed to be a social game, and this being a social competitive, only thing that is during the weekend, like limited time, there we go, event, should encourage a fire team rather than the solo gameplay.
Okay. I mean, I see both sides on that one. I always try and look at it from the perspective of the average player, in that having a fire team is not only always feasible. Some people can't find a fire team. Some people can't get their friends on at the same time, or they're just jumping on for a card.
And that's why matchmaking was implemented, because the same thing could be said about, PvE activities that require a group, like raids. But you can't matchmake raids. You can matchmake trials. And it just, when freelance is out, it just makes the regular playlist, strained.
Okay.
Because far more people are playing freelance than they are in the regular playlist. So once Flawless Pool activates, it is the worst weekend.
Yes. As a player, or as a team that does help, especially, I absolutely agree with that. That it's not fun to play. I'll actually find myself not playing with my normal teams on freelance weekend, and I just solo queue.
That's actually very common. There's a lot of people that will just queue up freelance because it's much more enjoyable for them to just rely on themselves and know that each person is also doing the exact same thing. And I get the appeal of freelance. I just don't think it should be a thing for trials. And if it is a thing, because I understand being freelance, something for like Iron Banner when you're going against a full team of 6, and it's literally a week long for 2 weeks in a season. That makes sense. For trials, freelance comes around once or twice a season. So I understand that the appeal of it, and people will jump in. There's more people playing and things like that. It just strains. So to have that. To replace Flawless Pool, it could lopside what trials is supposed to be. I mean, it could work out. I'm not a proponent of it.
I think if I had the option, I would get rid of Flawless Pool and just have freelance. As just, and it only starts, Sunday. It would follow the same trend as how Flawless Pool does.
Okay, yeah, okay, that could work. Yeah.
But it would start Sunday. I think that would be. I feel like that would be a good trade-off. Obviously, I'm not a Bungie dev. I can't say these suggestions outside of this platform or on Twitter. But that's something I would love to at least attempt, Give us a few weeks.
It's not a bad idea, yeah. They said they would be trying a bunch of new stuff out. They tried Flawless Pool and never went back.
Yeah.
Other than one horrible attempt that I think was just to show us how bad they can really make it. So
Oh God, the win-based weekend.
Yes,
yeah.
Widow's Court. I genuinely think that they were getting so much shit for Flawless Pool that they were like, it was just a big fuck you, and it was like, hey, we can make it this bad. You want to play this? We could do this. You don't want Flawless Pool? We'll do this. Like, and then everybody was like, no, we'll rather have Flawless Pool, and it was like, that's what we thought. And then they put it back. And it's like okay. So I think if they do take away Flawless Pool, I think unfortunately they will do win-based, even though like nobody wants that.
Oh, win-based was so rough. That was the most chaotic tournament style weekend I think
It
I've
was
ever
horrible.
Literally, we played 2 teams all weekend. Two
Two
teams.
teams.
After the first day, we'd still play the other days because we still wanted to play trials, but we never had any variety because the only other teams that had our amount of wins were stacks. So we stacked. I mean, we can't do help with that in that scenario, where it's just we're playing the same team over and over, and it made stream sniping a lot easier as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, all they have to do is get up there, and it's like, okay, we're just gonna. It's either you sit 30 minutes in queue, or you get stream sniped.
Yeah, I agree with that. Whew, that win weekend was pretty rough. So here's my thought on it, and this has stuck with me since the first weekend flawless pull was implemented, and I understand why it's still here because of this moment. And I don't know, a lot of people don't know this. The first weekend that it was implemented, there was a Bungie dev. And I'm not talking badly about him at all. I'm not going to say who it was. I'm not going to say if their pronouns or anything like that. They said, I finally went flawless because of the flawless pool. And I saw it. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to be rude, but I need to know. So I said, hey, that's awesome. Are you going to play in the flawless pool now? And their response was, no, I have some raids and nightfalls to do, and it's almost the end of the weekend, so... But that was that catalyst moment of, if the Bungie devs finally are saying they went flawless because of it, and I was the only one that was willing to post it on the Bird app, imagine how many other devs have that same mentality.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was bringing up, is that it just seems like this system in its entirety does not promote replayability. And it's just sad to see, because I did have a lot of feedback from people before Flawless Pull was implemented that because of the population being so huge, they finally had a lot of success. Even during this previous burnout one, where Flawless Pull was turned off, there was far more people coming out saying that they had far more success. And right now I'm hearing a lot of feedback about the non-flawless pool being very heavily people that are just purposely staying in non-flawless. Even if they're able to go out and play flawless pool, they just refuse to, because it is just frankly, not enjoyable to play trials in flawless pool. And that is the mindset of the majority of the people that do play non-flawless. Either you stay in there, play trials as much as you want and enjoy it, or you get your one flawless if you're able to, and don't play again.
Yeah.
And that's why we are having a population issue in the flawless pool. We have a population issue in general, but flawless pool in particular.
Yes, I agree with that. I really do. And that's one thing that I've always wanted to see is more replayability over one and done. But
me too.
Bungie's never came out and flat out said this is what they want one way or the other.
Well, they were coming out and saying that they wanted specific statistics as close as possible, and that was the reason why they implemented Flawless Pool. They wanted 20% across the board for wins. They didn't want 5-0s. They didn't want 4-5s. They wanted all of it in between as well, and that's okay. But they're manipulating it to a way that is just. It's not enjoyable. And I think they had the same mindset with Lighthouse or Flawless as well, because even though the non-flawless when they didn't have the flawless pool activated, those weekends usually had way more people going flawless than they did percentage wise, at least, than they did whenever they had the flawless pool activated. And it continues to show that way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just realized what time it was. We have gone 20 minutes over on the chatting. First off, I apologize. Thank you guys for having a phenomenal conversation.
Yes, sir.
I am going to drop your links in chat one more time. Viewers, Go show them some love. It's free. Go see what they do and why they're so good at what they do. These two, by choice, play the Flawless Pool every weekend. Braver than I. Much braver than I. It's rough. For the rest of you, we are jumping into the Scrim portion. Basically, the way that this works is we pull in viewers from chat, we run 2 games, then we cycle out and pull in the next round. Make sure you in the Discord. The biggest rules are make sure you're in the Discord so you can ask questions of your own for the guests. And the rule sets are in there. They're pretty light. We try to keep them light just to be kind of what you'll run into in the Crucible without the outliers really weighing it down. We allowed Forerunner 1 Scrim School, and Ceridius was unstoppable. So that was gone. Let's have some fun with it. This is your chance. It's not super sweaty. It's not super, like, have to go 100%. This is your chance to talk with the guest of the week, get a chance to play with them, have some fun, have some laughs, and we'll run as long as they want to go. So let's switch over to the Scrim portion. If you'd like to join Scrim waiting room. And we already got 2 in there, and I recognize both of them. So our first game looks like it might be a hot one. Let's get it going.